Rockstars, Eric Andreas, your guitar sage here. Friends, let me ask you, do you know the blues scale and you keep noodling it over a blues chord progression, but you just don't sound like the blues, just sounds like a blues scale, right? Or would you like to add more blues licks to your vocabulary? My friends, if you answered yes to either of those, you're in the right place, because the title of this one is Playing Blues Guitar? Don't play scales. That's right. Because here's the deal. Once we learn our scale. Now I didn't say don't learn your scales. I said don't play your scales. And what I mean is this. I don't mean necessarily don't play your scales, but don't overplay your scales is what I'm saying. Let me create an analogy for you very quickly here that will make a lot of sense. Okay? If a child is handed a dictionary which has all the words that they should need. Let's say a 3-year-old child is handed a dictionary that has all the words that they should need. Is that how they learn? Is that the best way? They're going to have all the words. Why wouldn't they just use that dictionary? Because we speak in phrases. We play in phrases. And so it doesn't make any sense to just sit there and read the dictionary all the day hoping to actually come up with a great phrase or a great sentence or a great book, okay? We have to speak in phrases, and we get phrases from other people who have spoken before us. Now, we can create our own phrases as well, but alas, it has everything to do with phrases which are within the scales. But if you're thinking scales, it's not going to be so fun, all right? So we're going to dig into this. Now, friends, if you are new to my videos, please hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the notification button or the notification bell as well, because, friends, I give away thousands of dollars worth of amazing goodies every single month. We give those away. Guitars, lifetime memberships to the Unstoppable Guitar System, yada, yada, yada. And I want to provide those for you, as well as I have thousands of lessons here on YouTube, and I want to help you with your guitar playing. And that's what I do. I've been doing it for a long time, and I love to help folks. So please do that right now, my friends. All right, let's get into the video. Okay, so here's the deal. You know your blues scale. You're noodling around over a basic 12-bar blues or anything for that matter, a chord progression. You're like, why doesn't this sound right? It just sounds like the scale. Well, it's because you're just playing the scale. And what's happening, this happens to all players at some point, and to most players, it happens all the time. And it takes a very conscious effort to get out of this. It's because we're in our comfort zone, and we know the blues scale, right? And then the blues, the chord progression comes up, and here we are. This is in G. This is G minor blues, by the way. Right, that's G minor blues. And that was the G minor blues chord progression that I just had there, which I will have as a jam track after this for you, okay? So you can noodle around with some of this stuff. Now, here's the deal. What happens is we know the scale. We run the scale. We run it, and we run it, and we run it, and we run it over and over again. And then what happens when we go to improvise? What do we have? We've got a scale that we can play pretty fast. Cool, right? Not very cool, because no one speaks that way. If you listen to any blues grade, I won't even name any, because all of them, none of them played scales. I mean, they knew their scale, but once they knew their scale, that was it, okay? Just like once you learn the alphabet, you don't need to keep going over the alphabet every day. You know it now. Let's mature and get into these next levels. Phrasing is what I'm talking about here. So if you're not thinking in phrasing, and we're going to talk about that, I'm going to show you some bits and pieces here. If you're not doing that, it's not sounding good, I can guarantee you, okay? Playing scales over a blues chord progression sounds like poop, okay? With that being said, we need to come up with some phrases. What do you mean phrases, Eric? Well, similarly here, when I'm speaking, I may have a comma, and I may have a period. And the inflection in my voice determines whether we're done with the sentence, because it's kind of up here, or whether we're ending the sentence, or make sense, whether we're in the middle of a sentence or we're at the end of a sentence. So there's an actual cadence to my voice when I'm speaking, and when we're riffing, when we're playing phrases and licks, riffs, right, whatever you want to call it, it should be similar. Now, the heart desires to do all this stuff, and then we go to do it, and we're like, oh, it's not coming out, but you hear it in your head. You can hear it in here and here, right? but it's not coming out. Now, why is that? Well, that's only because you haven't attenuated yourself, or you haven't played around with the notes enough, small sections of the neck, and gotten used to that, okay? In my courses, I have something called Minimalistic Blues, because blues is pretty minimalistic anyhow. You can make it very technical. Guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan were playing all sorts of notes, all right? Playing major and minor blues, and even throwing some other chromaticism in there and that sort of thing. But, and that's great, we want to strive for that, but you can't come out of the gate like that, okay? That's like having never run, and now you're running a, marathon, all right? You can't do that. You got to work up to things if you don't want to injure yourself, and if you don't want to make a fool of yourself, okay? So what we need to do is we need to learn how to phrase. So similarly, on the guitar, what we want to do is we want to speak. There's something called call and response. I have videos on both of these on YouTube, or obviously if you're inside the Unstoppable Guitar System, I have whole courses dedicated to this. But two things you could look up here on YouTube where I drill down much deeper than what we're going to do in this video, but you've got to know these concepts, is YourGuitarSage Minimalistic Blues. You can search that, and the other one is YourGuitarSage Call and Response. You can find that, okay? Jam tracks there as well. So we need to learn how to phrase, and call and response is a style of, or it's a term that's used when two guitar players are riffing back and forth, right? One player plays something, the other player plays something. You don't need two players. You can do this with 10 players or one player. But essentially, when you play a riff, you have some sort of response, okay? Some sort of answer. If I say to you, what's your name? You're going to say what your name is. I'll say, where are you from? You're going to come back with something. It's a conversation, right? It's not just, how many notes can I fill up into a space? You know, we're not trying to do that. We're trying to say something. See, we're speaking in phrases. We're letting there be a moment where there's nothing. If you're just playing all the time, racing through your scales, it's going to sound like crap. You got to slow down, number one. You've got to pause, like a comma, like a period, like an exclamation point, right? That'd be an exclamation point. So that would be, say, an exclamation point, comma, another exclamation point, or a period. It ends something, okay? Now, here's a rule of thumb. When you're playing a G chord, a G7 chord, a good note to center around is a G. Right? Did you hear that? Does that sound pretty familiar? It's because every guitar player who knows this concept is doing that. That's why it sounds familiar, and it just sounds good, right? It's a conversation between two people. So the guitar player in your band and the keyboard player is playing a G7 or a G chord, and you're playing a G note. Well, wow, that sounds like you guys know what you're talking about. It's because it does. If we're playing some other note, like, say, that note does not suggest a G7 chord, right? It's not in there. But if we said, well, that note is in the chord, and we could play a phrase like that, and that adds a little bit of tension, right? But we really want to center our notes around the chord when we're phrasing. Have you ever heard of a phrase like this, right? So, something like that. Now, you may say, wow, that's really cool, lots of bends and all the rest. But if we technically take a look at this, it's so centered around that one chord, or the key center, right? The tonal center, which in this case is a G. It's so centered around that, it's not even funny. So if we think about this chord here, these two notes that we have are part of that chord, okay? We don't even have to know the name. We're bending this first note up to that note. We're bending it up to that note, so the ear's hearing that destination. And then we're playing that note. And then I said this, I went. Well, those two notes are in the chord. Then I bent this note up. because essentially that's where we're ending up, so that's a chord note. So I said, let's examine this note. So that note, not exactly in our chord, but the way that I was bending it a little shy. I was saying, and that note is the major third, which is the third of the chord in a G7. So the point is this, is not to know necessarily this theory bit. And by the way, do not be scared of theory, okay? It's number one, if you're one of those folks that's saying, well, I don't want to mess up my creativity. Trust me, in the history of never has theory messed somebody up and made them not a good player, okay? Having some knowledge, at least the stuff that you should know, the basics, my friend, trust me, learn it, okay? And I have a free course for you. You can find the link in the description of this video. You don't have to go there if you don't want. It's just there for you for free. Or visit me here in Nashville. I'll charge you $1,000 and it'll take us 30 weeks. Otherwise, the link is there for you, okay? So with that being said, there's some theory that one needs to know. Now, or it's very helpful, I should say. That being said, let's say you say, I never want to learn music theory. I'm just an ear guy. Cool, so am I. And I also know music theory, or at least I know enough to get me by, okay? Maybe teach a few lessons. So, that being said, you could just do this all by ear, but what we need to do is we need to be aware of what notes are being played. We don't even have to know the name. Just like I said, we didn't name these notes, okay? Specifically, I'm not going to name them because they're just there. They are what they are. It doesn't matter. But to know them and then to create a phrase around them, right? We're really just centering around that, and that works perfect for that one chord. So here's what I want you to do is when a chord is being played, and this you can do this by slowing a track really slow, okay? Just slow down a jam track way down. There's plenty of slow jam tracks here on YouTube. Just search slow jam track blues. You'll find it, I promise. And be wary or be aware of the chord that's being played so that you can work a riff around it. Now, with that being said, I don't know about you, but way before I knew the alphabet and before I started to read, I knew how to talk. What? What are you talking about, Eric? How did you learn that? Well, just like you, I learned it from mimicking. I mimicked my parents, right? I mimicked my brother. I mimicked those that were around me because I saw that if I made noises with my mouth, someone would put me on the potty, or someone would change my diaper, or someone would give me a cookie. I didn't even know how to spell cookie. I do now. C-O-O-K-Y. But the point being here is that we don't have to necessarily know all the meanings behind it, but we do have to be able to phrase, okay? So that is another point here, is to learn vocabulary, to learn licks and what have you from your favorite players. How do you do that, Eric? Well, take Jimmy Page. If you love Jimmy Page, you love Zeppelin, what you're going to do is you're going to study his solos. There's plenty of information. I'm teaching it. All sorts of people are teaching Jimmy Page licks, okay? You could find tablature on this. Google is your friend, okay? Type in Jimmy Page guitar solo licks, tablature, that sort of thing. You're going to find what you're looking for if you really desire to do it. Learn those licks. Why learn those licks, Eric? I want to be individual. I don't want to be Jimmy Page. Cool. You didn't want to be your mom and dad either. And guess what? You're not your mom and dad, but you spoke like them because they taught you how to speak, okay? You're not going to be Jimmy Page. Trust me, okay? You're not going to be Jimi Hendrix. Trust me. You might even be better than them, but you're going to be your own person. Point here is that you've got to start mimicking guitar players. If you don't, you're not going to have that vocabulary. You're going to be starting way back before Robert Johnson, because Jimmy Page and Keith Richards and all these guys were learning from the guys before them, the Robert Johnsons and what have you, Chuck Berry, what have you, before, okay? And you're going to be starting from scratch. okay? Blues doesn't work that way. So, my friends, that is it. That is the crux of the matter. My friends, did you enjoy this video? If you did, smash that thumbs up button and leave your comments below. Please let me know what you liked about this video. Let me know what you do to sound more bluesy. Let me know if you're having a problem with just playing the scales and that sort of thing. The number one thing is to stop playing the damn scales and to start playing riffs instead. Just stop playing the scales now. From now on, don't do it anymore. Play riffs only. Leave that void there so that you can do this, okay? Leave your comments below and let me know what other things you like about this video, how I can help you more. Friends, I've been teaching for a long time here and I absolutely love it. I love helping folks out and I love the guitar. I have a free course for you. The link's in the description of this video. There's no catch. It's just literally I got hundreds of comments every single day, and I knew this course would help the world, which is why I put stuff on YouTube way back in the day. Didn't have any courses, didn't have any books or anything. I just did it out of the kindness of my heart, and I still love doing that. So 1,000-something videos here on YouTube. If you really, really want to learn how to play guitar, check out my Unstoppable Guitar System. We'll put a link in the description of this video as well so that you can get a free trial to that, a 14-day trial, unlimited. You can play to your heart's content, 1,000-something videos, okay? Friends, I'm on Snapchat. Snapchat? No, who's on Snapchat? I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all those places right here. Ooh, look at that. Huh. And all those places, so I would love to talk with you there, chat with you there. So many things going on there that aren't even going on here on YouTube. All sorts of live stuff, giveaways, and everything else. So join us in those places. My friend, I'm here to serve you. Please let me know how I can do it. I want to help you get to the next level, okay? Please let me know how I can do that. Leave your comments below. Friends, as always, be kind to all beings. Do the right thing always. Practice your guitar. I'll see you in the next video.